I'm apologizing ahead of time because I'm probably going to cough, sneeze, or need to blow my nose during the video. I've been very sick over the last 24 hours, and it keeps coming back. And no matter how bad it might be right now, this is massively improved over what it was, which is not saying much. And yes, taking a swig of coffee seems to help. Just answering questions with WebTech, regular video. This is the third take. I shouldn't be doing three. Here we go. The things they do, discouraging those of us that are after a real answer. I'm flagged for these things, and all I do is talk about human behavior and how it's being used to control us, give them bread and circuses. I was just talking about the amount of medical misinformation and explicit material on YouTube right now, and also on Twitter I've been commenting on. And now I'm afraid to link to anything on Twitter, no matter what way, because Twitter is now legitimately something that should be flagged for bait and switch content that's extremely objectionable. YouTube has also done the same thing partially. We've all noticed that. However, it's still slightly better moderation. But on top of that, they'll also flag people for doing a video on upper atmosphere phenomena involving lightning. I got flagged for that. Because that's what they said they were going to censor. Not the link that went to a website that changed hands and now has spam when it doesn't. Next one. I care less and less about trying to share things with others. It's exhausting and I'm beginning to think it's a waste of my time, or our time, and air. I'm re-quoting these badly because get them done here. And I agree. Now, these are comments that are left under my video where I express a lot of frustration with the fact, A, same thing, and B, that no matter how much I'm able to, or anybody on the internet is able to explain something to persons, or how easy it is to look up the correct answer, people will keep reposting or hinting at answers that don't provide anything useful, are of no practical value, and are more importantly, not true. They're just false. Deciding you're going to discuss in a school board meeting whether or not you should allow the discussion of flat Earth and the accurate depiction of it, which is since 300 BC to 380, we have known as a species the Earth is round. The idea of calling a person a flat earther was at one time a lie. They weren't flat earthers. It was an insult. I mean, it gets complicated the more you look up facts. But also now we have people who literally say this, whether they believe it or not. Some of them really do, because it's like a battle cry. Is it appropriate to discuss that? Yes. Not whether the Earth is flat or not, but what their motivations are. Let's actually talk about what their motivations are. Not that they're misreading, I mean, literally a T-square or something. Let's base it on, hey, let's talk about this. Well, you're not supposed to show respect to people when they're just wrong about something. That's not how it works either. But it gets exhausting when you find out that the person has a motivation that they will resist any information that shows them they're just wrong. Now I'm going to bring up something someone said and something this person did not say as an example of the content I've gotten from lots of other commenters. Going around the bend here. Move here to Australia with me for a bit and I'll show you a country and our hospitality. I'm sorry, but you have little idea of it. You don't even need to carry a gun. I'm aware of that. And, being triggered. The majority of people in the United States do not need to carry a gun nor have any basis for it if they were asked, can you provide reason you should have a gun? Because the majority of people in the United States, whether they admit it or not, a gun, it's not whether they want one or need one, is would it make a difference that would be useful? Most of us don't know. I mean, I know for a fact I've never been in a situation where having a gun on my person would have made it better. But then again, I'm not a person who's a victim of violence like that. At least not necessarily. But let's get to the rest one. Why would the police want a neighborhood shootout versus why would the residents of a building that we are being told started a shootout want one. Extenuating circumstances. Here we go. Number one, this is about the shooting in Australia. Number two, the 3 occupants of the building had between them, the only thing being reported currently, because the police are being closed-mouthed about everything for some reason. I'm not saying I'm suspicious. I mean, they're just not telling us what the hell's going on. There was a standard 22 rimfire gun, nearly the lowest power gun on the planet. A shotgun, which can be used for fucking amazing amounts of stuff. That's why I'm impressed with them. And a 30-06, which is a long-range rifle, potentially, but it's mostly a hunting rifle. It's considered so generic that nobody ever brings up outlawing them. Because none of them look like they're a scary rifle, and they're ridiculously effective at everything. The next thing is, as I commented in the video about the shooting in Australia, these people owned the property and had absolutely everything to lose by doing anything other than having the person that was being visited just walk out and talk to the cops. But the person who owned the property had, over many months, declared that he would treat any intrusion, on principle, to be a good reason to start shooting, I guess. Well, your principles got you dead. If he was alive right now, I'd say, yeah, that was stupid. Basically got himself and 2 friends killed. A brother and the wife of one of them. So, but would the police want a shootout or anything? I don't believe so either. We have 2 groups of people, the police and the residents of this building, neither of which could ever benefit by firing a single shot. It doesn't make any damn sense. And unfortunately, the one tipping point thing is one of the residents in the building is not rumored, but definitively now checked out to be a person who was an adherent of a nutcase in the United States, telling everybody the world's coming to an end, immediately shoot at people, all of this horrible stuff. And now we don't have the ability to see any of this data or find out if it was true or not, because the first thing everybody does is erase everything that would be considered factual data about people. One moment, please, and I am sorry for this. And as bad as that might seem to you watching, and definitively as bad as that is for me, that's massive improvement over the last 24 hours. So I have no problem right now. I might be getting better. I don't know. But on that point of what happened in Australia, some people commenting are saying, not saying we have to be being lied to. They haven't gone that far yet. I'm amazed, actually. But they're deciding, like me, it doesn't make sense for any of these individuals to ever fire a shot. A man that they were trying to visit had a heart attack last year, or whatever. And they were checking on him because he went missing. This is cut and dry. That's reality. And then over here is a fantasy story being told by somebody who's trying to justify their desire to go out and talk themselves into hurting people or telling others to do it. When you have people out there who want to do chaos, and they're either, I guess you'd call it cowardly enough not to do it, or they'd rather everybody else do it, and they'd rather talk everybody else into it because they can get away with that. It's a pretty shitty world we're in. So I don't know what to make of any of this, but yes, I agree with you. I don't believe either party have a reason ever to do this. It doesn't make any sense, and there was no useful outcome. There's 3 people dead on each side of the subject matter. This is literally a waste of human life. And I'm just as astonished as most of you are that this would be able to happen. But then again, some of you are thinking, yeah, this is the kind of thing that happens in America. Yeah, and it's equally stupid and shouldn't happen. We have people out there being gaslit into being primed to do this. And unfortunately, it leaked over into Australia. Next, have you noticed that the general population of people we call religious believers seem to decide that they're going to accept or acquiesce to the idea that if you accept man evolved from something or is evolving, that this would invalidate the idea of a God creating us in their image. Now, this is the third take, and this is the part where it gets weird. I'm not going to read the rest of the comment because that's really the gist of it. The person kept trying to correct themselves and apologizing all over themselves and kind of went off on a tangent, which you never want to do. Don't do that. Just do another take. That's my advice. It's hard to do this, by the way, in case you can't tell. I'm saying this is the third take, and it's potentially making me sicker doing this. Okay, so, but this is the best way to do things. But that question comes up a lot, and religious people sometimes won't acknowledge that the most likely answer is something that's brought up more overtly in sci-fi and in critique of religion. Do not question the gods, but when you read it, it's do not question the religious leaders telling you what to do. They're not gods, they're just people. But they want you to treat them as if they're gods because they want power that's unquestioned. And they get it because if they tell you the gods have forbidden you from counting the stars, I'm referring to a Dark Matter 2525 video series, then you will literally not do things that have nothing to do with questioning authority. Religions are based on having overarching power of death authority over people and you not being allowed to question that. Yeah, I said it. It's politics without the ability to fire people. You can't have a revolution because they'll just keep the religion around because they tell you you can't live without religion. You literally have people telling you at the full volume, full-throated, that American society would die if Christianity wasn't the default belief system, which is bullshit. Same thing with Islam or any other religion. They're not needed, and that's very important. But let's bring up something simple here. Let's make up a new version of a godhead. Let's go back in time to 2,000 years ago and realize that people were told things. They didn't write them down. They just repeated the stories. That's actually how communication happened. No written word for the most part. It really was that way. It doesn't matter if you like hearing that on either side. That means you have to acknowledge the game of telephone throughout history, which absolutely would happen and still does. Don't believe me? Watch people do it in reality. You done? Yeah. So you can't have that. You do not have a right to that opinion that couldn't happen. Obviously it did. Which means more likely, if you want to take all these stories of the origin of humanity, which would require a person to be watching it happen, you'd have to decide it was witnessed by someone who wrote it down or told the people it was happening to. Maybe genetically engineering gibbons to be humans, who knows? Or orangutans, or bonobos. Why not? Or some other creature we don't have anymore that was turned wholesale into what humans are. You could decide that. You could decide Neanderthals were another experiment. That's actually the story, the pattern, the history for a couple of movies and books. Would that change what's happened here? No, it'd fit. That would fit fine. If you have a chapter where it says, first there was water, then there was light, and the other one is first there was light, then water, that's just two people remembered in the same story but getting two things switched around. It's not a contradictory statement. It's just proof that there's more than one guy named John writing this shit down. And that's kind of the problem here. We're dealing with a broken, incomplete, self-contradicting narrative that doesn't give us any useful outcomes. It doesn't. Since that same time, we've known that the earth is round, for the most part. And even calling a person a flat earther was an insult directed at people who did not believe the earth was flat at the time. There's a history to that that's hard to, teach because it involves people lying all the time. It's really hard to deal with. That's why it gets confusing. So why would a religious group build in a self-destruct sequence where if you found out evolution happened, which is the most likely answer, by the way, it has practical value, by the way, why would that cause a person to destroy their belief system? Because it's a punishment. You're self-punishing for questioning not the gods, but the religious leaders who are just politicians in robes. There's a food for thought. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. That's the third take, and I'm ending it.